Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 questions, and I'm hoping to get through all 3. So I'll start with you, General Alexander. You helped build Cyber Command. What steps do we need to take in this year's NDAA process to mature Cyber Command? And then look forward 5 years. What does Cyber Command need to look like 5 years from now?
I think first, the unified command is the right next step. Get them to a unified command. I think the rules of engagement discussion that we have is the second thing that I would push at. The third is with government as a whole, including Cyber Command, how do we defend the country? How do we as a government work together to defend this nation and bring it out and have a public discourse on how we're going to do that? Don't go into the tools and all that, but talk about why the information that's being shared is necessary to defend this country.
Thank you for that. My second question has to do with emerging technologies. When we consider what the world of cyber looks like, quite soon I think of threats like AI and quantum computing. How do these technologies play into future of cyber warfare and what we need to be thinking about as policymakers? I'll start with you, Mr. Chertoff.
Well, I think on AI, as with most technologies, there's an upside and a downside. There's no question from a threat standpoint, the ability of an adversary to automate the ability to test and try to break into a network, or even to use that for kinetic purposes, increases the threat. But the good news is, I think particularly if you use behavioral analytics, AI can be a good way of defending the network in depth, which is what we need to do. Quantum computing, I think, it raises some issues about encryption. And encryption is a major security tool. There's a view, however, that quantum computing could eventually make it very easy to penetrate encryption. It may also be the case, though, that it may be a tool to actually enhance encryption. So in both of these cases, I think we have to watch carefully to make sure that to the extent the threat is increasing, we are using these technologies to increase our resistance.
General Alexander, I'll go to you next, but I want to also add an additional question related. Are we underinvesting in these spaces?
Yeah, I was going to hit just on that, Ms. Stefanik. I think first, we have to lead globally in quantum computing and AI. The country that is the leader in those 2 technologies will be the future superpower. That needs to be us. And so we aren't investing enough, and this is a huge area. And there are some great experts in government at classified levels in both, and I would encourage you to get with those. I think in quantum computing, what Secretary Chertoff said is exactly right, both good and bad. AI, the same thing, and you've seen Elon Musk and Gates go at this both pro and con. I think the good part of it, it will help us solve cancer and other things, and I think there's tremendous good. The bad parts, it means your decision cycle is going to be extremely fast in cyber, and the attacks are going to grow, so we have to be ready for that.
Mr. Johnson.
I agree with what Keith just said. I think that we need to invest in cyber talent in the federal workforce. All of our best talent at DHS, the people that can actually explain this to me, get stolen into the private sector because they're able to pay multiples of what we pay in the federal government. Congress has done some things to enhance our ability to hire cyber talent, but I think that's definitely a work in progress.
Thank you. And my last question, I'll try to get through quickly. Each of you have testified the importance of improving interagency coordination and information sharing. I want to drill down into the specifics. What specific actions can we take from the HASC perspective to improve this interagency collaboration and ensure that we are improving our readiness?
So one suggestion, and actually back in 2008, General Alexander and I talked about this, would actually be to co-locate representatives of the 3 major government agencies in a setting that would allow them to have a common operating picture in real time about what's going on.
We actually built a integrated cyber center up at Fort Meade where you would see the center of some of that, and so I would encourage that and build that common operating picture so that you can see the attacks and each part of government could coordinate what their response would be. Right.
DHS has actually built an integrated cyber center too, called the NCIC, the National Cyber Communications Integration Center, and it's an interagency operation, and I think we need to bolster that and improve upon that.
Thank you. My time is about to expire. I appreciate the answers.